So again, solving absolute value equations, you want to get the absolute value bars and an output by themselves. So the absolute value bars and then equals an output by itself. There can be more things going on, but ultimately we need the absolute value bars by themselves first. This -3 in the front is our problem, why we can't just write this equation twice and start solving. So just dump the absolute value bars. That's not an option yet. We have to get rid of that -3. That -3 is attached by a multiplication because there is no symbol there. So think of these just like parentheses, except we're not going to distribute. We're going to get rid of it. So we're going to divide both sides by -3 because that's the inverse of multiplication. So that's going to give me the absolute value 2x minus 4 is equal to -36 divided by -3. So negative gives us a positive 12. Now we have absolute value and an output by itself. So we're going to write our equation twice. So 2x minus 4 equals 12. 2x minus 4 equals 12. This is where, again, you change your output only, so only this side. Nothing in here. These minuses don't become positives. These stay exactly the same. So your absolute value is safe zone. You can't touch anything in there. You're only changing your output. You want a positive output and then the opposite, negative. So had this been negative, we would keep it as is, and then we would make it positive. So as is and opposite outputs. Now we're going to solve this multi-step equation. So you're trying to get x by itself, depending on how neatly you write. Be careful because we make careless errors at this point because this is super easy for most of you at this level if you're in Math 3. And we don't want to make careless errors because the math gets hard enough as we go. So this is -4. So to move it to the other side, we're going to take the inverse. So add 4 because that makes these go away. And so then I end up with 2x equals 16. 2x is 2 times x. So the inverse of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide by 2 on both sides because whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. And x is going to equal 8. In the more very basic equations, like I said, do not assume the other answer is a -8. So +8, -8. In this case, there's a lot more math going on, so you want to make sure you take the time to solve both of them. Don't skip steps. So again, we're getting 2x by itself. We need to move that -4 or -4, and we're going to do so by doing the inverse of adding 4. Be careful, this is a -12, which is different. So 2x equals, this means I owe you $12 because it's a negative, and if I pay you $12, then that means if I pay you $4, that means I'm going to owe you 8 still. So I'm starting to pay off my debt, but not quite done. Now I have 2x, which has 2 times x. So again, we're going to divide by 2 on both sides, and x is now going to equal a -4. So our solution set is both -4 and +8, and you want to make sure that they work. So you can plug those back in. So -3 times 2 times whatever we think our solution is, -4 should give us a -36. If you do that with a -4, so let's put a -4, -3, that's going to give me a -8 minus 4 equals -36. -3 times the absolute value of a -12 is going to give me a -36. Remember that absolute value means this is +12 and -12. So -3 times a +12 gives me a -36, and a -3 times turning it into a +12 is going to give me a -36. So it becomes this. So that is indeed true. So then the -4 does work. For our 8, make sure you're writing this down if you're doing your note submission for a grade. So 2 times 8 is 16 minus 4. -3 equals -36. So -3 times the absolute value of 12. Remember, the absolute value of 12 is a +12. So -3 times a +12 indeed is a -36. So the solutions to this absolute value equation is both -4 and +8.